Hello and welcome, Practically Magic, magical peoples. This is sort of a test run on live videos that we'll be providing on a regular basis coming up in the next couple of weeks. So, starting in June, you will get to join in on a live card reading once a week. And we just wanted to test out the site and make sure that a live video was possible with the equipment and technology that we are using at this time. So it was not planned or scheduled to pop in live, but if I am able to make it work, then this will be able to be a regular space for people to join when they want to participate in live readings and tips and tricks, tips and information about using magic in your everyday life. I am Courtney Pearl. I am a witch. By the way, I use that word in correspondence with the etymology it originates, which is a wise person, someone knowledgeable in the ways of magic. And there are a lot of people knowledgeable in magic in many different ways. Some people using medicines like herbs. I use medicine of energy healing and folklore, storytelling, lots of different modalities that there is seasonal and cyclical and alchemical ways to engage with magic and healing. And that is what I like to dabble in when it comes to teaching and when it comes to the wisdom that I would like to share. And by the way, there is always more wisdom right around the corner to be had. So I am currently diving into the shallow end of human design. Just barely started reading up on it and learning a little bit more about it. I still look at a human design chart and it looks like Greek to me, or like a foreign language, if you don't know that saying. But eventually, I would like to be able to be fluent in human design and such that I can use human design readings and charts with clients so that we can get to know ourselves a little bit better and know each other. And when you know your own human design chart, I think it can open up a world of possibility and knowing what your path is, who you are, where you're meant to direct that path in your life. I think it's helped me extremely in the last several months learning a little bit more about my human design because I know that there have been times in my life where I'm operating not within my human design chart. And because I'm a manifester, it comes out as anger when I'm not aligned. And so I can tell when I'm a little bit more angry or when anger shows up as a message in my life or in my body that there's just something not aligned, not what I would like it to be. So, human design is just another powerful tool, I think, with the use of astrology and all of the components that go into what makes your human design. So, again, just in the shallow end of that. So, wouldn't consider myself to be a witch of human design yet. But the word witch has come up a lot in late conversations in local areas. And where I'm at, people have association with the word witch that's very sticky, right? We still live in an era where when someone mentions witchcraft, you can see people tighten up. They get a little defensive. And I have been open about my definition of witchcraft or of being a witch as something that we all engage with. And so I've kind of, stuck my flag into a spot where I'm claiming this kind of abrasive thing that a lot of people are having trouble with, which is that we're all witches. We're all engaging with witchcraft. Even the people who consider themselves to be extremely religious in Christianity or any other type, that would have a lot of issue with the word witchcraft, that would say, that's of the devil or it's evil or, different kinds of aspects of that. The truth is, all these religious practices that have been going on for thousands of years and, the 2,000 plus years of Christianity, all of the practices are classified, could be defined and classified as witchcraft. It was all taken from pagan practices that were already established before Christianity dominated. So it was kind of like, oh, I see that you're, lighting candles and ritual and prayer and worship. We're going to do that too. We're just going to call it our own thing. And then we're going to say when you do it, it's evil. Right. So Catholicism has a lot of pagan practice in it, which is inspired by what was already culturally available, what was already culturally prominent in those regions. And there's nothing really wrong with that, other than, and I wouldn't even consider it stealing, other than they took on those practices and said, when we do it, it's okay. When we do it in the name of Jesus, it's okay. But when you do it in the name of a tree, it's not okay. And then kind of making that an othering, right? Like, if someone were to walk into a church and be like, "Oh, I see you're lighting candles in prayer. That's witchcraft." Then getting upset about that, about using that word, to me, that sort of, it sort of shows an arrogance of like, "Oh, you think that you're better than us because you're doing it in the name of this or in the name of something else. But when we do it, it's witchcraft and it's not okay." Or if I lump you into it and say, you're doing witchcraft, by the way, you get upset and you don't like that. And I understand that there's a lot of icky connotations to the word witch and the word witchcraft. And so people are not quite ready to accept themselves or be lumped into it and not ready to accept it in other people. So I live in an area where that's still kind of a battle, a bias that I am doing my very best at trying to break the mold. Challenge. I'm challenging it. I'm making people uncomfortable for sure. But I am happy to have the platforms of this podcast and the audience of people that are following witchcraft to have conversations about this and to discuss it. Are there people who practice witchcraft who are doing it with negative, with I don't even like to use the word negative, but like with harmful intention, like cursing people or wanting to, you know, get revenge on people? Yeah, it's possible. It's also absolutely true that there are people doing whatever they do in the name of whoever they do it for, that are doing a lot of harm. So they could be doing it in the name of Christianity, in the name of God, and still doing a lot of harm. I think colonialism was that. I think that colonization is that. I think capitalism is that. I think a lot of things are that. Um, but to lump the people that use witchcraft in such a way and then say, well, witchcraft is evil because those people are doing it in evil intentions. Well, there are a lot of people doing things with evil intentions. They can call it. They can do that in almost any realm or sphere, right? So, with that being a great topic of conversation, I'll leave it to those who are followers of Practically Magic, my Practically Magic crew, my magical people. What do you feel about that? About the word witch, using it and calling yourself that, or feeling like it's still not okay to use that language? Or why? Why do you feel like it's not okay to use that language? Would you be offended if I or someone else called you a witch? And why do you feel that that's an offensive thing to call someone? Because in my opinion, it is a great honor. It is a great title to have if it feels like you play that role in your community where you actually help people and could be helping people, right? Let's get some cards. And we'll get a card reading together for our next couple of days or the rest of this week. This wouldn't be the typical time for me to do a live card reading event, but as this is our practice for what a live would feel like, we're going to do a card reading for this week. This is one of the first week of May, give or take. So we have just entered the Wheel of the Year section of Beltane or May Day, the second of the Celtic Fire Festivals. We'll do an episode on Beltane to let people know what Beltane represents and what it means. And it's pronounced in different ways. I'm not good at pronouncing it the Gaelic, Irish Gaelic pronunciation of it. So I'm not going to try, but for those who are. Ooh, so one card has already established itself by flying clean out of the deck as I'm shuffling, which means that there's some significance to this card right now for all of us. The Ace of Swords tells me that there is action to be taken this week. And so for me, that's going to be really telling, because if there's been some things that have been sitting kind of on the back burner, or some things that I'll say, we'll get to that, maybe we'll take action on that at some point in the future. This is kind of saying it's time to put some of those things into actual action. Don't sit on them. Don't think about them. Just do. And that's maybe not what other people would associate with the swords, the Ace of Swords being the air element. For most people, they would say it's something to think about or think on or communicate. But I read the swords more as the fire element. So for me, when the swords come up, it's going to be with the intention of action and passion and putting things into action, right? Okay, what else do we need to know about this week? Okay, sort of a regrouping of the most recent setbacks that you've had with reaching your goals in career and money and finances. There have been some setbacks or some things that feel like this hasn't gone the way that I wanted it to go. Something cost more than you thought it would, and you feel like you've been losing money, or you've been losing out on what should have moved you forward. But this week, there's going to be a little bit more of a plateau in that. There's not going to be more loss, but there is going to be kind of a regrouping of, now, what is it that we're going to have to put back into balance? So this may be like some decisions are going to need to be made, but also those decisions are going to put you back on the right path that you should be on. Right? So here we have the Six of Pentacles. Hi, welcome. Hi. Ethereal Moonlight. Love that name. It's gorgeous. We're just doing a little tester live video. I didn't have it on the schedule here, but we're just popping in to make sure that we can get a card reading in for this week. And then we'll be doing regular card readings coming up in June. So you're going to want to subscribe to the channel and make sure that you know when those, one of those lives are coming up. But thanks for joining in, because I'm just sitting here talking to myself at the moment. This is going to be one card that we pulled for this week, which is the Six of Pentacles. We're talking about how we just kind of went through a little bit of a loss. There might have been something that happened that sort of, it cost more than you thought it would. It felt like you were losing money, or it felt like there was a setback professionally, financially, in some way. And this week, there's going to be a little bit of a regrouping to get that back into balance. So it may be, it may be that you're kind of reworking the budget a little bit, or you're kind of going, all right, that loss happened. It sucks, but I think that we're going to be okay. We're going to kind of stabilize what the loss was and move forward. So that's what this week is about, as well as before you popped in, there was the Ace of Swords. So it is time to take action on something. If there's something you've been kind of ruminating on or putting on the back burner, this would be a really good time for you to put that into action, to say, I'm going to actually start that thing instead of waiting on it, because it's time. Like, I've been waiting I've been waiting long enough. It's time to do it, right? So this week, Ace of Swords and Six of Pentacles. And we're going to pull one more card for this week, just for you. Appreciate ya. One more card. And if you haven't caught up on the episodes of Practically Magic, we are between seasons at the moment, but June is going to be a great month because we're going to be starting season 4 and regular live readings right here on the YouTube channel in June. Yay! We've just been having some technical issues the last couple of months, and I've been really busy co-hosting Parallel Frequencies podcast. So if you haven't checked that out, that's another great way to get some magic because we talk about movies and shows in correspondence to what expertise I have in the world of energy healing and magic and folklore and things like that. So I get to talk about TV shows and movies in that realm, which is fun. So that's a daily show, Parallel Frequencies. And we've been so busy doing that Practically Magic has been taking a break. But no worries, we'll be back with season 4 very soon. You have 3 whole seasons of Practically Magic podcast to catch up on if you haven't already. All right, here we go. Last card. Ooh, okay. So we have the Knight of Cups for this week. Okay. Ace of Swords, Six of Pentacles, and now the Knight of Cups. Okay. So for me, the way that I'm reading this today, for us, for you, for everyone listening to this at this moment, the Knight of Cups would be a message of taking action in something emotionally charged. So I always think of the Knight of Cups as a big chivalrous sort of display of emotion. So if there was something that you have been holding back on expressing because maybe there's fear of like, if I say this big grand gesture to someone, they won't reciprocate, or maybe they don't feel the same way that I do about something. This would be the moment to take that big leap. It would be the moment to say, I'm going to go ahead and do that grand gesture and lay it out all on the table. And whether they feel the same or not, I know that at least I have done my part and shown my vulnerability, right? You know, this is interesting that this card comes up in this moment because I actually was listening to something just this morning about recycled vulnerability. Maybe this is going to be a new, like, I don't know, like tag, what is it? Buzzword. It's going to be like a new buzzword that's coming up on socials. I don't know, but I don't do great at following trends. What I do feel is that this is a really, really, I don't know, kind of important thing to talk about is recycled vulnerability. Like, are we just recycled vulnerability can't really be authentic because you're just showing up with this real authentic vulnerability and expression of emotion, and then you're just recycling it to somebody else or to some other situation, and that can't really be vulnerable. So be aware of when that's happening, and instead of being like, I'm just going to lay it all on the table, but it's not really a big risk for me because it's recycled. It's not the same thing. What we're actually looking to do is, it's going to be a real tough, brave thing to do because you haven't ever expressed yourself in this way before. And you haven't ever done it in such a way that it was this meaningful. So if there's a lot of emotion connected to it, then it is actually vulnerable to express. And the King of Cups is inviting you this week to express it, right? Express it. Tell someone you love them if you haven't. Tell someone that they hurt you. And know that it might not go the way you think it will when you express it, but that's okay. You're not doing it to get the reaction you want. You're doing it because it is something that is emotionally charged in your body that you need to express and that you need to really feel your way through it. Because it's not just about the expression, right? That would be more like the wands in my interpretation of reading the tarot. It would be the wands that would come up, but this is like, it's an emotionally charged thing to experience, right? All right, friends, that is your week reading for today. I'm going to try to see if I can figure out how to post this. This is all new to me. I've got new equipment. So we're learning how to make live videos and to post them, and they will be scheduled in the near future so that you will know when to pop on and to read, to get your live reading. And I imagine you can pop in live, or you can catch it up the same day after it's been posted, right? All right, don't forget to subscribe to Practically Magic podcast here on YouTube, or on, you can go to my website, practically-magic.com. Don't forget that's magic with a CK at the end. So practically, it's practically, right? Energy, quantum physics, healing work. It's practically magic. It is, because it is. And if you want a little bit more, Coco, that's my co-host name on Parallel Frequencies. You can go check out Parallel Frequencies Daily podcast and subscribe there. It's a lot of fun, a little bit less maybe deep as we get on Practically Magic, but we're talking about kind of the in-depth analysis of really fun topics like movies and TV shows that have been circulating. It's basically a What We Are Watching podcast. So whatever me or my co-host Just Blaine happen to be watching at the moment gets on the schedule, and we get to talk about it in our own realms of expertise. He is a former Hollywood guy, knows all the ins and outs of making content, and so he gets to talk about it from his perspective. And then me, as a witch healer, I get to talk about it from my perspective, right? So go check out both of those and make sure you subscribe, and then we'll see you here again for our next intuitive card reading. I hope that helps your week, and I hope you have a really magical week. Never forget that you are light, so go ignite your spark.